What's going on, everyone? In today's video, I'm going to show you an awesome strategy for finding books on Amazon that I know a lot of people are not using. If you're new to the channel, my name is Joji Davenport. I'm a high school chemistry teacher and a six-figure Amazon FBA bookseller. I sell books. You can see here on my Amazon Start Essential page, this is kind of normal, right? Over the last week or so, we've sold 1,200, 600, 800, 390, 628, 870. So these are books that I've bought on Amazon and then resold back on Amazon for profit. And I know you're sitting there going, how is that even possible? Well, over 100 million books listed on Amazon at any given time. There's thousands of them that are undervalued. And here, again, like I said, I'm going to give you a tip for finding some of those amazing books. Now, what prompted this is when I looked at my managed orders page and looked at some of the books that I recently sold today. This book in particular, called American Zion, which sold for $80 about 4 hours ago, was really interesting. You can see I just purchased this April 18th of 2024. So literally a little bit less than a month ago. And if I click on view this order, you can see I paid a grand total of $9.80 for this book. Now, when you scroll down to the Keepa chart, you can see that this book had, it sells throughout the year. It doesn't sell a ton. It had, looks like 1, 2, or 3 sales and drops before I had purchased it. And so it sold there in December and January and February for at least $58. And the way that I know that is the used price is right around $58. And there are sales rank drops, which are, shown with these green sales rank drops here. So I know that the book sold, became more popular, and the lowest price or the cheapest you could have bought it for is right around $58. So that told me, okay, this book sold for right around $58. Then you can actually see the price drop from $68 all the way down here to $9.80, and you can see the sales rank drop. That's when I picked up this copy for $9.80. My thought process being, if this had recently sold, in the high 50s and I can pick it up for under 10, that's going to be an awesome book. You can see earlier in the year it had sold a few times for a little bit less than what I bought it for. You can see that it had sold for, significantly less than these recent sales at $58, but still something selling, for more money than what I actually ended up purchasing it for. And so with the buy cost of $9.80 and the sales price of $80, we made a $49 profit, 500% ROI. Now, I always usually put my max price a little bit higher than what I think its kind of intrinsic value is, just because oftentimes as an FBA seller, you do get the buy box and you can kind of get a little bit of a prime bump or a little bit of a prime gap, especially at a book like this, which only had a couple offers. I was really targeting to sell it right around $60, in which case it would still be wildly profitable. It sold at that, but it sold at $80. And what I want to do is show you how you could find a book just like this. Now, this strategy is, I'll say, definitely a little bit more advanced. It's something that I think if you start utilizing, it's going to help you find books that you like to sell. And what I mean by that is, this is a book that I like to sell, a book that doesn't, move very often, has a really high sales rank. You can see before I purchased it, the sales rank was over 3 million. A lot of people don't even buy books that have a sales rank over 1 million, right? And I understand that everyone has different business models, but this is a book that, only had one offer at the time. And, for me, is a no-brainer. Might not be a no-brainer for someone else, but it's kind of hard to argue, right? I didn't have to go anywhere to buy this book. I didn't have to get in my car, didn't have to drive anywhere. I simply just bought on Amazon and resold on Amazon. So what we're going to do here is leverage Keepa Product Finder to try to find a product just like this. That's why they call it Keepa Product Finder. And so what we're going to do is actually come down here and look at the statistics tab and just take a look at this box here that says used. We're going to look at what the last 90 and 180 day average price was. And then we're also going to look at what the sales rank, the average sales rank has been over the last, 90 days. And so what we're going to do is go over to Keepa Product Finder, put in those stats and see if we can't find a book just like it. So if you're not really following, essentially what I'm trying to do is find a book exactly like the book we just found. And the reason why I want to find a book exactly like this is because this one made us a bunch of money, so why not try to do it again? Now, one awesome thing as well, you can actually see that there is nobody actually tracking this book. And this is a book that if I start tracking, I'd be the only person who's on, who's tracking this book and potentially could flip this book for years to come. But what we're going to do is go over to Keepa Product Finder. All you got to do is go over to Keepa.com. You do need a subscription. I'm not affiliated with Keepa by any means. You just need Keepa if you want to be a bookseller. It's about as important as water is to living, is what I can say for an Amazon business. So you need it. What you're going to do is come over to the data tab, go over to Keepa Product Finder, and we're just going to go ahead and input those parameters. So remember how we looked at the statistics tab here and it said that over the last 90 days, the average sales rank was 2,456,709. Well, what I'm going to do is go ahead and put 2.5 million average sales rank over the last 90 days. So under sales rank over the last 90 days, I'm going to go to 2,500,000, just like this. Anywhere from 1 to 2,500,000. You can see that brings down, 154 million products on Amazon that have a rank under that. If we want to find a book, again, just like this, we see that Amazon is actually not even on the listing. You can see that currently when we picked this book up, there also was not a new third-party seller on the listing either. And the way that I know that is that if Amazon were on this listing, it would be shaded in yellow. Like you can see in the past over here, you see how there's boxes shaded in yellow, and you can see there's a yellow line that says Amazon. Amazon was in stock way back when. They went out of stock in 2017. And again, that blue line, if I actually get rid of the used price here, the blue line represents the lowest new third-party price. And when you see that disappear from that graph on top, that essentially means that there are no new offers. And one way that you can see that is you can see right now there's not a blue line, and you can come up here and see that there's actually just one copy available, and it happens to be in used condition. See how it says buy used? Now, one other way that you could also find this is if you come down to the bottom Keepa graph, you can see there's a new and used offer count. And so if I get rid of the used offer count right now, you can also see how the new offer count was 1, then it was 2, then it was 1, and now it's 0. So what that tells us is, right now there is no new offer count. Obviously, there's no new third-party price if there's not anyone on the listing. But what we're going to do is come back to Product Finder and just say, okay, well, Amazon out of stock, new third-party sellers out of stock. What we're trying to do is recreate the book. We're trying to find the exact parameters of that book at that point in time to see if we can't find another book just like it. Now, what we're going to do is look at the statistics tab and look at that use price. So what you can see is that over the last 90 days and 180 days, the average use price of this book has been over $60. So what we're going to do is come back, keep a Product Finder. We're going to scroll down to use price. And we're going to say that over the last 60 days, we want the use price on average to be $60 or more. And we also want over the last 180 days for the average use price to be $60 or more. And every time we input another parameter, you can see how this number gets lower and lower. Now we're going to scroll down. Obviously, we're in the book category. How do I know that? Because this is a book that I sell. I'm a bookseller. But if you didn't know that, you could also come down to the product details page and you can see here's the bestsellers rank and here's the category. It says books. You can also see that there are some different subcategories here. We're not going to go deep into subcategories. I've got other videos on that. But what we'll do is go into all room categories and simply select books. Now we're down to 17,000 books that meet this criteria, and we're just going to keep going from there. We're going to scroll all the way back up to the use price because remember when we picked this book up, it was significantly undervalued. Remember that its price was $68 and then it dropped all the way down to $9.80. By the way, if you're kind of wondering how I'm able to zoom into the Keepa chart and zoom back out of the Keepa chart, it's pretty easy. If you want to zoom in to any point in time, all you have to do is use your index finger to left click on the mouse and then drag. So I'm going to left click, drag, and then you just let go and drop. And that's going to allow us to zoom in. If you want to get back to that original default view for whatever you selected, you just double left click and it's going to bring you back. I cannot tell you how important that skill is, zooming in and out and being able to move around, because it gives you a lot of insight into what books might have sold for, what price the book was when the book sold, all that kind of stuff. But let's come back to this sales rank drop. Again, the used price happened to be $9.80. So what we're gonna do is again, recreate the book and see if we can't find the book that's under $10 under the current price. So under used current, we're gonna go anywhere from 0 to 10, and you can see this brings us 22 products. So essentially there are 22 almost carbon copies of this type of book. Now that doesn't mean every one of these 22 offers aren't going to be books like this. In reality, there might only be 1 or 2, but it's this idea of mining for or searching for these parameters that could find you an amazing book. So now all this is going to turn into is you just looking at each of the Keepa graphs to figure out if this is a book potentially that has a current use price that's well below what it has been selling for in the past with sales rank drops. And by the way, just another little tip for you here, you notice that when I hover the product, I can see a snapshot of that Keepa graph in the bottom right-hand screen. That's a really important metric for getting to these really quick. If you don't have that, you would have to click on the listing, look at the actual Keepa graph, exit out, look at the next listing, exit out, which is just time, right? It takes too much time to do that. So the way that you can get the snapshot in the bottom right is pretty simple. What you're gonna do is come up here to the top right, then you're gonna go to the settings tab and you're gonna open that in a new tab. Once you're there, you're actually gonna go over to the right where there's this website cog, and you're gonna go ahead and scroll down. Under add-on settings, you're gonna see that there's a place that says show price history graphs, this overlays when hovering Amazon products, and you wanna default that to yes. I think it's actually defaulted to no. You want to make sure that that says yes. Also, while you're here, also make sure that under display stock quantity and offer listing pages, also make sure that says yes. The reason why you want that is so that when you're looking at the current offers, you can see how many copies any particular seller has in stock. That's actually really important as well. Now that we got that out of the way, we can come back to our listings. And again, what we're doing is trying to find a book that's book's value today that's significantly below what it's been selling for. So for example, you can see that this is a book over the last couple months. Its lowest use price has been right around 14 to 15. It's had recently a few sales rank drops. You can see in the past it's had some sales rank drops in the 20s, one in the 30s. Looks like potentially we had one really high as well at 249, except it's actually not at 249 in used condition. And the reason why I know that is because what I ended up doing was also clicking on this collectible offer. If you didn't know, you could also sell books on Amazon in collectible condition. And having this collectible feature both in offer count, but also up here for the collectible, lowest collectible price over time is helpful, because you can see that if we line up this sales rank drop, it actually lines up perfectly with when the collectible offer count at the bottom here, it goes from 1 to 0. And you can also see the collectible price goes from $40 and then disappears. So what this tells us is that the book became more popular, the collectible offer went off the listing. That's an indicator that it's very likely that what sold was the collectible offer at 40. So this is why, these little nuanced things about Keepa make a big difference, because you might look at that and go, oh, the book sold for $249 when in reality it didn't. So this is a product that we're not going to be looking for. It's essentially, its use price right now is not really significantly below what the book has been selling for. So we're going to go ahead and pass on it. Now I'm just going to keep going down pretty quickly. And I've done this enough times that I know what I'm looking for. I'm looking for pattern recognition, right? I'm looking for exactly what I had seen up here. Something like this, where I have plenty of sales rank drops at a high price, and then the current use price today being significantly lower than that. So I'm just going to keep going down. And you can see we've already gone through maybe 10 or so, and nothing has actually met our criteria. Obviously, what's going to matter here is getting through these as quickly as possible. Here's one that had one sales rank drop at 35. It looks like its current price is under $10. We expand this historical selling data. It looks like most of the time it's selling right around 15. So not a book that we're going to be interested in. This is a book that right below it looks actually decent. Sales rank drop at 37, at 40, at 74, and now you can see, it dropped at a massive drop in price, and then it's now undergoing a repricing war. Now it's at 583. It's about violin technique, so definitely a book that I can see a student needing. If we expand the last 2,300 days, you can see Amazon was selling it for $29.95. Pretty good sales rank. Use price was often in the 20s, which is also a good sign. I would say, due to the fact that this probably is the lowest price ever, it's actually close to it. It looks like it was on August 10th of 2019. It was $548. Right now it's $583. So essentially the lowest price, almost the lowest price ever. But because Amazon was selling this for $30, the use price was pretty high up there with the new price. It had a good sales rank, and the fact that it has a recent sell of upwards of 73, 40, and 40, I would definitely be a buyer of this book. Now, the one reason why I know this is a collectible offer selling as well is because you can see there is actually no collectible offer here on the top Keepa graph, or no collectible offer count there either, which tells us that there has never actually been a collectible offer on this listing ever. That's why it doesn't show up. Similarly, if Amazon had never sold this product, you would not have this Amazon button up here either. So what we would do in this case is we'd go to Amazon, we'd go ahead and take a look at what's available. It looks like $9.78 is the lowest price. It looks like maybe it was $5 plus shipping. We scroll down. Okay, so maybe that offer is already gone, or no, it's actually right here, $581 plus shipping. We've got a 4 or 5 offers actually that are pretty low, and then it shoots up. Now, for a book like this, it doesn't seem to be selling, very often at this $40 to $50 range, maybe only 3 times in the last year. So I definitely wouldn't pick up more than 1 copy if I were going to pick this up. Now, I would highly doubt that there's an Amazon FBA seller on this, and you can see there isn't. The way that I know that is that there would be a little prime check if there was an Amazon FBA seller on this. And so for something like this, you buy for $9.78. For me personally, I would probably try to undercut a little bit and not sell for $40 to $70. I think it might take a little bit too long. It's a book that doesn't move too often. I'd probably just price it at like $35. And in that case, you'd be making over 100% ROI on this book, which is pretty good. And I think that'd be a good buy. Again, probably only buy 1 copy of that, but pretty decent. Now, again, I would just come back and just continue to look at whatever's popped up. And it looks like potentially we have only, 1 or 2 books that look decent with those filters. Now, you can always play around with these filters, right? You can always go back to advanced filter and you can change things up. One thing that we could also do is $10 is pretty cheap. If we're looking at a used price of $60 over the last 90 and 180 days, I mean, that's a pretty big difference between price, right? So maybe what we could do is instead go up to 15. Since we already looked at these, under $10 offers, what we could do is just type in like 1001, and then we can go up to 15 like this. And what that's going to allow us to do is look at that next range of 10 to 15 bucks. And again, there's 32 products. We can go find products, and then we can just, repeat the process. It really shouldn't take you too long to go through these once you know what you're doing. I mean, all these should take about a second or less for you to figure out if this is something you're looking for or not. And again, it might take a little bit longer because, you are kind of new to this, but you're certainly not going to get better if you don't do it. You're only going to get better if you do it and you put in the work and you put in the reps. And that's obviously ultimately what's going to determine if you're successful or not, right? This is kind of a lot of the behind the scenes that you don't see me doing. It's like, okay, looking at a lot of Keepa graphs, looking for books that are going to be, winning books. Obviously, the majority of books that you come across are not going to be books that are going to be good. That's just the reality of it. And so you either just manage to deal with it and work through it, find books. Like I said, you don't really need to buy that many books to be successful. I would say if you could buy 10 books a day on average, that's probably enough to hit 100,000 in revenue on the year. So you don't really need to buy too many books per day. And also, there's plenty of other ways to source. Just check out my other videos on the channel. So here's a book that's really interesting. This is called Long Reining. What I like about this is it's a book about horses, and if you know anything about horses, and horseback riding is a very, I wouldn't say it's niche, but there's definitely a certain demographic, people with a certain amount of money that definitely are into this sort of thing. And what's caught my eye is that the used price of this book has been really high for most of the year. And you can see that when this book has dropped in price, there's been immediate sales like drops, which tells me that either resellers are out there looking to snag this when it becomes a deal, or people who want this book are really just waiting on the sidelines, waiting for the price to drop, and then they're snagging it immediately. Now, it looks like these sales are, easily in the, this one's in the 30s, that's around 14, 19. Now, if we go back in time, though, what we're seeing is, periods when the used price is a little bit more stable. We have sales in the 60s and the 80s. We've got sales at a lower 18 to 40s. This is a book that has a lot of variability, but it's also a book that is often out of stock and often at a really high price. So what that means is you can come in and stabilize the price, especially if you can buy something super cheap. Like, for example, you can actually see right now somebody in stock is a prime seller. They have the buy box at $100. I'd argue really $100 for this book, from what I'm seeing in this Keepa graph, is a little bit too high. If you want to come in and stabilize the price, and you should buy this book for $14.10 and try to sell it for $40 to $50. You're going to stabilize the price. I guarantee you'll probably sell it at $40 or $50. So this is a book that I would also buy, and we can go and look at the page and see what's up here. So again, I wouldn't necessarily be undercutting the prime offer, right? I know a lot of people always say, don't undercut by a penny, don't undercut the FB seller. But what I think most people don't understand is how to value a book. Like, most people don't understand that you should sell a book for what it's worth. You shouldn't just sell a book for some random price, because at the end of the day, this price could be $97,000. That doesn't mean that the book is worth $97,000. This is $97 in the buy box. I haven't seen one period in the last, decade where this book has sold for over that. The highest that I'm seeing is potentially 83 way back when. So, don't get caught up in that. Like I said, a lot of people are always like, don't undercut, don't go a penny under. I guess what I'm saying is, sell books for what they're worth. If someone is priced well above what it's worth, then you know that you're going to be competitive. When you come on the listing, you're going to be the only one who's actually there to sell the book, right? We're not book collectors or book sellers. So in this case, $97 I think is shooting for the moon. So what I would do is come in and, here's a very good copy. It looks like we've got one from Awesome Books and Bahama Media. For whatever reason, Awesome Books and Bahama Media, they always have this combination where, Awesome Books has one and Bahama Media has four. So I would definitely just buy one copy. I'm going to buy all of them because I don't know what's going on with them, but I would say just buy this copy, right? So you come in at $14.10 plus a total of $3.99 shipping. That would give you $18.09. And like I said, come in, price stabilize this book, sell for $49.99. I guarantee you that this is a book that's going to sell. You'll make, $14 profit, 79% ROI. You're like, Joji, that's not 100% ROI. Well, it's 79% ROI on any sort of arbitrage. It's pretty amazing. That's pretty good. And then also, this is a book that could be a replay for years to come. There's really only one person tracking it for $15, and there's definitely possibilities for you to pick this book up when it gets cheap. Just in the last, few months, it has gotten pretty low. So yeah, that's what I would do. $49.99, stabilize it. I guarantee you that it would sell. We have sales rank drops well over that. And it's a book about something, a niche topic that people who are into horseback riding or whatever are into this sort of thing. Like, they're willing to spend money on stuff like this. All right, I feel like this video just turned into I'm just talking about random stuff. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Whenever you sell a book, go back and look at its statistics, figure out if you can recreate finding that book. If you can do that successfully, you can set up a bunch of different filters, and then you can, like for example, you can see I've got a bunch of different product finder filters. You can set those up under a bookmark tab, and you can just go through them, every other day, every couple days. I guarantee you'll find plenty of books doing that. That in combination with, Keepa track product feature, Keepa deals, BookMine. I haven't made any BookMine content lately, but guys, BookMine is popping off. Make sure you go subscribe to the BookMine YouTube channel, by the way. It's actually doing really well. We're gaining a lot of new subscribers, and people are really finding the value in it. Unlike what we're doing here, it's actually much easier. We just give you the fish, or not really give you the fish, but we make it really easy for you to fish. Right now, this is actually expert level stuff. So I'm not sure if you guys will like it or not, but let me know if you guys do like it. Maybe I'll make some more videos like this. But that's all I got for you guys today. Hope you enjoyed it. See you guys in the next one, and goodbye.